My friends ignored me for months, not even bothering to hide their group chat with my name. You just get bullied, they said, laughing at my expense. Now, as graduation approaches, I'm left questioning my worth and fearing I'll be alone again in college. What will I do next? My title is somewhat simplified. However, I am going to inform you that this is a lengthy read as there is a lot of detail. For context, I am a senior in high school, and my friends have completely ignored or cut ties with me for the past 6 months or so. I do not specifically care about them, as I only have about 2 months left with them graduation, but I want to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. I have been genuinely good friends with these individuals for about 3 years. I invited a couple of them into the group and have taken a few of them on trips. However, I tend to avoid conflict and arguments by laughing them off, which may not be the best approach. To begin, around the end of last year, my friends and I had a small party or gathering. Towards the end of the event, we went for a walk around the neighborhood. I was not in the best mental state, if you understand what I mean, and neither were the others. One of these guys, who I had known my entire life and was practically best friends with, started making hurtful comments about me and my family. He said some really inappropriate things and then called me a coward when I refused to fight him. I explained that I did not want to because he was my friend. He came over and pushed me, I pushed him back, he punched me, and then I punched him in return. I promptly called an Uber and left. A few weeks later, I unfortunately lost a game, not going to specify what, because if these individuals see this, it will be pretty obvious it is me, and had to complete a punishment that the winners got to decide. They assigned me something that would reflect very poorly on me and could potentially jeopardize my college admission. I refused and requested something easier, preferably one that would not affect my future. They told me to stop being a coward and to accept the punishment. They also decided that I would not be allowed to attend any hangouts or parties until I fulfilled my punishment. I thought they were joking. However, I was not invited anywhere for 3 months. If I reached out online, I was left on read, ignored, or responded to with hostility and told that I had to complete my impossible punishment. They would not even converse with me at school without bringing this up, and I started to realize that they were not speaking to me in person either. I was quite upset about this, especially because although I have other friends, no one really does anything outside of school. It is just this group, so I feel somewhat trapped with them. At one point, I could not sleep because I was worried about this situation, whether it would resolve, and more importantly, being completely ignored by people whom I had considered my best friends only a couple of months earlier. There were several instances where I discovered a get-together or party, asked to attend, and was told that I could not. Two of the girls in this group felt pity for me and tried to help me get invited, but these guys would not agree, even making comments like they assumed I would not want to be there. Eventually, I was invited to a party hosted by one of these girls, and afterward, things seemed to calm down. I was invited to some events, even if I had to learn about the plans by listening to these guys talk or by reaching out after the hangout had already started. However, at one of these parties, my friend opened his phone and I saw a group chat notification from a group chat titled with my name. Everyone was in it, the whole group, both guys and girls. I was quite devastated. I did not show that I knew, but over the following week, I noticed that people were messaging in it. We previously had a group chat with the same people, but it had gone silent since I stopped being invited to events. Over the past couple of weeks since noticing this, I have picked up on various things. They all plan on this group chat, which is why I never hear about anything, and more frustratingly, the background photo of this group chat is a picture of my face taken at an unflattering moment while I was caught blinking and turning my head. To make matters worse, yesterday when we all got together, I saw that the photo was changed to a picture of me passed out on a couch. Returning to the story, things were as smooth as they could be until a couple of weeks ago. I went to the usual hangout spot, a good friend's house, who invited me over since he is part of this group and is probably the only one who has not treated me poorly. We were just having fun. Around 12, we were all somewhat inebriated and sitting on the couch when one of these guys stood up in front of us and started yelling at me. The guy who punched me, whom I mentioned earlier, also joined in. He accused me of why I hang out with them, claiming they all hate me, and asked why I keep returning since I just get bullied. He continued to express how I have been excluded, though I do not remember the rest of his remarks. He ended up slapping me and saying other hurtful things. I took an Uber home, wrote down my recollections from that night to ensure I would not forget, and went to bed. However, I messaged him asking why he was treating me poorly that night. I wanted to give him a chance to apologize, but I woke up to a message stating that he did not remember what happened, but that what he had said was true. This individual was my best friend for about 3 years. We got along well, and we had hardly any issues previously. One of the other guys filmed the entire incident and sent it to the group chat. One of the girls responded with laughter, asking what I did to deserve his anger, as if I had instigated the whole thing and it was a regular occurrence. I know this because the guy next to me was on his phone, and I caught a glimpse of the group chat. Regarding what he said, I do not genuinely get bullied by these individuals. Sure, I have been left out in the past, but now I mostly attend everything even if I am not involved in the planning. In person, we get along well. The past few months have felt a bit strange from my perspective, but I attempt to overlook it. There have been times when I show up and one of the girls will say something like, "Oh, my name, you came too," or "I did not know you were coming." We never argue or have any issues until someone drinks too much. They always appear happy to see me when I arrive at events. At school, we greet each other in the halls. I stopped sitting with them at lunch back in January. Now, with the school year nearing its end and my friendship with all of them coming to an end as well, I decided to inquire about the group chat to understand its purpose. I asked a good friend of mine whom I have known my entire life and who has not participated in any of this but has been passively involved, what the group chat was about. I trust this individual, and he is one of the two people in this entire group that I intend to stay in touch with after high school. He claimed he had no knowledge of the group chat and that it did not exist, stating they would not do that to me and that I was overthinking. I asked another guy and he also professed ignorance, saying that it did not exist and that there was no reason it would. Two other people said the same. I know that these individuals are all part of this. I just want to know why I am excluded and what takes place in it. That last detail occurred last night. I seek advice on how to endure this situation. I have not done anything to anyone in this group. I drive them when they cannot, talk to them at school, and I used to check in on them. Currently, I despise this situation. It feels strange knowing they have a group chat without me, especially with my name in the title. Do they feel guilty? They must know that I am aware of this by now. I feel like these people simply do not take me seriously, and it makes me very bitter. I have about 2 months left with these individuals. I want advice on how to endure these final months. It feels awkward to be around people who engage in activities without me. I must essentially pretend to be friends with these individuals, which I cannot tolerate. However, outside this group, literally nothing happens. No one organizes anything, and I am somewhat of an extrovert, so I need to be around people. While I am fine in person, as I mentioned, I just feel off. If I attempt to resolve things by individually asking how to address my apparent problems with the group, or what I did to cause this, they turn off or say something about being unsure of any issues or not noticing any problems. Since someone might suggest that I stop hanging out with these individuals, I genuinely cannot. Some of my best friends are in this group, so I cannot leave. I have also invested 4 years into these people. Furthermore, no one outside this group does anything, so I would just be stuck at home. Recently, this situation has significantly impacted my self-esteem. I am starting to doubt myself, overly analyzing everything I do in social situations to see if I am being awkward and worrying about my future in college, whether this whole thing will occur again. I really need advice on how to survive the next few months. How do I get along with this group? How do I ignore the obvious issues they have with me? I never did anything to them, and when I ask about what happened, they brush it off as if they do not know either. I do not want this to happen again in college, but that is all I can think about right now. I apologize for ranting. I just genuinely need help with this. Thank you for reading all of this. Summary: friends have been treating me poorly for the past 5 months, and I am unsure how to proceed and make amends with them. Story 2. Exhausted at 27, I followed Thor to start fresh but ended up with a manchild who disrupts my sleep with loud gaming. "I'm not being loud," he yells, while I'm left rattled by the RV shaking. Is he trying to push me away, or is this just the start of something worse? I will state clearly that I do not plan to break up with him and do not wish to be told that the solution is to end the relationship. I am quite certain many people will suggest that. However, this is the first significant you need to stop moment in our relationship, and I genuinely want to address it rather than give up because I truly care about my boyfriend. That is not to say I will not consider it if things continue this way. I simply wish to make an effort to resolve the issues. For the time being, I will refer to him by the pseudonym Thor. For context, I am not in contact with my biological family for various reasons. My mother is deceased, as is my stepfather. Several events unfolded within a span of 2 years, and as of December 2024, I followed my boyfriend from the southern states we were in to the northernmost states to be with his family and pursue better job opportunities, which we both secured, hooray. His family is wonderful. Thor and his siblings were all in foster care, and both his mother and father are extraordinarily generous individuals. They purchased an SUV for us to share while I was looking for work until we could afford to repay them, which we have, and bought us a recreational vehicle for the two of us to stay in on their property. We are still repaying them for that. Things were fantastic initially, as they often are. We got along well and collaborated effectively. Thor began his new job before I did, so I managed our home alone. He was considerate of me just as I was of him. I would say that things first began to change when I started my own job about 4 weeks ago. My job is from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, while Thor works a 4 days on, 4 days off schedule. This means he is awake during most of the times I am asleep, except for 2 days when he has the same schedule as mine. For 4 weeks, he has been gradually escalating his behavior into what I would describe as childish. He spends more time at home than I do and does not clean. I take care of cleaning when I return home. I often find him gaming all day, and while I would not mind normally, I could even join him. The fact is that he does nothing and then continues playing late into the night, being loud and preventing me from sleeping when I need to get up very early to drive an hour to work. The pay is certainly worth the long hours, so do not worry about that. Throughout this entire time, I have remained considerate of him. I do not mean to imply that I am the perfect girlfriend. I know I am not. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, hyperinsomnia, and experience periods where I simply cannot get past my own thoughts. He has only requested that I refrain from doing two things during our entire relationship, and I immediately ceased both actions. He asked me to stop mentioning when he picks at a bald spot on his beard, which is a habit he has, and I complied. I have not brought it up in the 2 months since. He also requested that I not touch certain snacks or drinks of his, which I have never done since we first moved in together. I do my utmost for both of us, so why has he suddenly become so inconsiderate without warning? Why has he changed so drastically without explanation? Everything I am going to mention has been requested of him multiple times, and while it may seem like nagging to some, I should not have to repeat myself excessively to stop behaviors that keep me awake, particularly when I have taken extra care toward him, even obviously to his family. For an additional consideration, my job requires me to pass a hearing test, and unsurprisingly, my hearing is much stronger than average. If anything, consider this merely me venting, as at least that provides me some sense of control. Essentially, he is not allowing me to sleep for various reasons. If it is not one issue, it is another. I am exhausted, I have not been able to rest. I am tired, I already struggle with insomnia, and whenever I begin to doze off, he does something to wake me up. Thor shakes the recreational vehicle. I do not mind when people bounce their legs. I have ADHD myself and have my own fidgets and stims. However, I do mind when he does it inside the RV. He is a very strong man and the entire structure shakes like an earthquake to the point where his family has outright asked if we are engaging in sexual activity. I have asked him to stop at least while we are inside the RV. Does he listen? No, I have to continue asking him. I even recorded a video of myself sitting in my room while the whole place shook to demonstrate to him. Has anything changed? No. He plays his phone at full volume. We reside in a one-room camper with him occupying the front area while I have the back. We have only a single, essentially cardboard door separating us. I utilize a white noise machine, yet he plays his device over that. At full volume 100%. His phone is old and sounds incredibly tinny and his default setting is 100% volume. It is unbearable, hurts my ears, and prevents me from sleeping. I have also requested this of him multiple times. By 4 weeks in, he should be able to predict that I would ask him to turn the volume down so I can rest. So why does he keep it at 100% and act exasperated when I have to remind him to lower it? He is doing that even now as I type this. He games all night. Thor uses my computer monitor to play video games. He utilizes my game controller, my lap desk, my headphones, and my microphone. For 4 weeks, I have asked him multiple times each night to keep the volume down. I should not need to try to sleep at 10 p.m. and wake up repeatedly until 2 a.m. to ask him to stop shouting. He insists he is not yelling, however, he very much is. I have been startled awake numerous times at this point due to him yelling help to his teammates. The first few times genuinely terrified me because I thought he was in danger. I would scramble out of bed, burst through the door, and be met with the sight of him looking at me as if I was the one being bothersome. This situation does not improve and I am tired. I have spoken to him multiple times. I have asked him to stop numerous times, yet he continues the same behavior. It is impacting my sleep. I have informed him of this. It is affecting my mental health. I have also communicated this to him. I even spoke with his mother about it in hopes that she could assist, and while she employed typical motherly threats, that has not worked either. I love him, but I am very close to ending the relationship for my own well-being, which would lead to a plethora of additional issues. The last concern has persisted for a bit longer than the noise problems, and I recognize it may make some people uncomfortable, and it also bothers me, but the positive aspects outweighed the negative until recently. He continues to grab my breasts and buttocks during every hug, despite my asking him to seek permission beforehand. It sounds bad and it feels bad. I want him to stop that. I want him to allow me to sleep. However, we have been in a relationship for 5 months, during which we have both put in considerable effort, and I wish to communicate with him before I decide to end things. I keep catching him in minor lies as well. This was an issue I was aware of before we began dating, as it stemmed from his experiences as a foster child and represents a trauma response to his past. However, these lies are accumulating and are quite trivial. For example, I went to retrieve my gummy worms, which I had placed in the refrigerator as a reward for completing a task at home that I found challenging, only to discover them missing with the bag left empty. No one else was at home except for him, yet he adamantly claims he did not consume them. He purchased a plum wine for my birthday and told his family that it was given to him for free, which confused them when I later mentioned its price. He insisted it was a wine he wanted to share with the entire family, which I agreed to, and we planned to open it together. However, when the time came to open it, we discovered it had already been opened and appeared to be missing a couple of shot glasses worth of wine. He was the only one near it, it was unopened when we received it, and he asserts he did not drink it. Yet he was the only person present. There are also various other minor untruths. If anyone has suggestions on how to address this situation, I would greatly appreciate them. I am so fatigued and want to be done with this predicament. Edit, I do intend to show him this post and the comments. Is this a form of abuse, or could he possibly be attempting to make me the one to end the relationship? I want to be clear as well. If this continues, I will not remain with him for the rest of my life. My statement of I do not intend to break up with him is a current sentiment while we can still work out solutions. If he refuses to compromise, that will be the end, and I will manage the consequences of ending the relationship.